absolutely. Um, my name is Jay. I'm 29 years young, and I currently live in Vietnam. So before that, I studied languages at university in Northumbria Uni, which is in the city of Newcastle. Newcastle.
Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to another British English conversation with me, Lewis, and another great guest who, it's funny because when I first invited him for a chat, I didn't know he was from Yorkshire, and I'm from Yorkshire as well. So you might be able to sense and notice some similarities in our accents because I'm from Leeds or near Leeds, and our guest is from somewhere fairly close to me. So, without further ado, Jay, welcome. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure
Yeah,
is all mine.
thank you, man. Yeah, as I say, I've been following you for a while, and since I started this journey myself, and I've always loved your content. So it's fun to be here with a fellow Brit, fellow Northerner.
Exactly. There was another video that I watched of somebody else recently, and she was explaining a Yorkshire accent, and she was doing it in Spanish at the same time. And she was just focusing on a South Yorkshire accent, so like Doncaster, Rotherham, Sheffield, because she was using the guy from One Direction as an example, Louis Tomlinson, I think his name
Ah,
is. And I was like,
mhm,
well, actually, not all Yorkshiremen speak in the same way. So there are
mhm,
slight differences between York, Leeds, Hull,
mhm,
Sheffield, and so on. But I think one
mhm.
thing that we do have in common is the sound.
Oh, bus.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'll never
cup.
get bus.
Yeah, nice. Do you know what? Like the funny thing is, when I teach my Vietnamese students, the little kids, and I'll teach them words like bus and rubber, and they'll come back to me and they'll be like rubber. And I'm sort of like thinking, do I continue to teach them my accent or do I go rubber? It's always a
Yeah,
choice in the
what
moment.
do you do?
Well, I just find it quite cute and endearing that they come back to me with this Yorkshire accent and just laugh to myself and let them, they repeat it back well. So yeah, I let it slide. I
I
teach them
think
Yorkshire English.
it'd be nice to have this group of little Vietnamese kids that suddenly all speak a perfect Yorkshire accent and be like, my work here is done. I was
Absolutely.
interested with that one as well because yesterday I was just like scrolling up and down and I saw somebody commenting on one of my videos, and in the video I was saying a butcher, a baker, all of these
Mhm.
things, and then I saw you mispronounced butcher because in theory they believe it should be batcha
Cha.
instead of butcher, which is the
Uh-huh.
from
Ooh,
Yorkshire.
yeah. Got my little. Oh no, it's not on my wall anymore. I had my IPA chart. It's just there we go. My my battered IPA chart. This is the sound that we use in Yorkshire. This sound, and in RP they use that as you rightly said.
Like
A cup and a mug.
a country,
Country.
summer.
Yeah.
So
Very
yeah,
good.
if you want to speak like a Yorkshireman or Yorkshire woman, it would be summer, country,
Hmm.
cup,
Hmm.
butcher, all of
Run.
these words. But
Hmm.
let's move on from that. And I'm sure people have checked out your beautiful videos recently. But for those of the audience who haven't, Jay, could you introduce yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? And so on.
Absolutely. Um, my name is Jay. I'm 29 years young, and I currently live in Vietnam. So before that, I studied languages at university in Northumbria Uni, which is in the city of Newcastle. Newcastle. Um, and yeah, so I did that for 4 years. So first year, second year, third year, I did a gap year in France, which kind of helped me dive into something quite uncomfortable, something new, but it was good for me. Then I graduated in the fourth year. Didn't know what to do, but I had a friend in Spain at the time. His girlfriend was graduating, so he basically asked me, "Do you want to come over to Spain?" I said yes. I moved to Spain. I think like yourself, actually, you've lived in Spain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was there for 2 years, and honestly, uni, French and Spanish, taught me nothing, but living in Spain taught me everything. So if anyone wants to learn English, the best way, if you can, is just like your total immersion, living there. And so 2 years in Spain, that was a wonderful time. Then COVID hit, so I went back to my family um, and chilled in York, my hometown, for a year. And then I wanted a bit more independence by that point, so I moved to Edinburgh again, like near my friend. Spent a year in Edinburgh, and I suppose after that, I got this longing to travel, and I've always had this kind of adventurous spirit. So I was walking to work one day, and it was a beautiful sunny day, blue sky. And I was listening to music, and I just had this epiphany, this feeling that I wanted to move to Asia, and specifically Vietnam. So I decided in that moment that I was going to move to Vietnam, continued the rest of my work month while doing my TEFL online and applying for jobs. I applied for one job in one city, Da Nang in Vietnam, and got it. So 11 days later, I moved, and I've been here
No
two
messing
and a
around.
half years. No messing around. No, I just leapt in. Couldn't even swim. Just jumped in at the deep end.
From epiphany to moving in how long?
Yes.
Was it like
Well,
two
so
weeks,
the whole
3 weeks?
process was like it was the epiphany, and then the initial research of where I wanted to live in Vietnam, what I value, things like nature, just having somewhere like not too many people, but also enough of a city.
Mm-hmm.
Then on top of that, it's yeah. I then applied for the job, did my TEFL simultaneously. Then it took maybe 2 months of back and forth with the people in Vietnam. They'd had some issues with past English teachers falling out, dropping out. So they were skeptical, they were dubious about me. And I had to just prove myself. I had to
Mm-hmm.
I sort of, just every day I was on them. I was very keen for it. Thankfully, 2 months passed and I got the job. And then it was from that moment that I got it that it was 11 days later. I booked my flight, the earliest one I could get, for the best price. Of course, being a Yorkshireman. And yeah, here I am.
Okay, wow. Well, let's start with Vietnam and all of this. But you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned you were doing your TEFL online. Were you
Mm-hmm.
not teaching English in France and Spain before that?
Good question. I was, and I had previously done a TEFL, but my past self was very disorganized, and I'd somehow lost the email access to my old TEFL, so I had to redo it, and I redid the 120-hour one instead of the 60-hour one, which I'd previously done. And yeah, I suppose for that reason, my disorganization, which I've been working on.
I mean, I'm the same. Like literally yesterday, I had finished doing some kind of paid collaboration on my Spanish channel, and
Mm-hmm.
then
Cool.
because it's quite a good company and reputable company, they were then asking for all of these documents to be registered as one of like the partners and collaborators, and I'm like, I don't think I have all of these things because they were asking for all of these random certificates. And this year is the year where I'm trying to basically become an adult at the age of 31. Actually, I don't know if this
How's it
happens to
going?
you, but I just said I was 31 and I'm actually 32. So when you get older, you just forget how old you are. And then you always want to go younger because it sounds
Hmm.
better. So at the
Yeah.
age of 32, I'm trying to be a responsible adult with finances, with
Hmm.
organization, with paperwork, and it's a work in progress, but I think
Hmm.
I'm on the right track. I'm on the right path. I'm going in the right direction. So this time
Hmm.
next year, maybe I'll be the most organized person ever.
You'll be a
Maybe.
machine.
Exactly. Yeah, fingers crossed. Let's hope so. But anyway, let's
Nice.
continue with that. So obviously you worked as an English teacher in Spain, you did the TEFL. the online TEFL course, how useful do you think it actually is when it comes to applying these principles in the
Mhm.
classroom and teaching in real life?
Good question. I would say nothing can beat experience as the greatest teacher. So yeah, me being in Vietnam, me having had that experience hugely helped me. But if you haven't done any teaching before and you have no concept of the theory and the fundamentals, then it can be incredibly useful. And if you do it very methodically and meticulously, which most should, but I knew it kind of, so I just fired through it, and yeah, because I had the knowledge prior, because of my experience. So I suppose my answer is that yes, it's useful, but there's no better practice in anything than just doing something. Just do it, and you'll learn, review, do more.
I agree 100%. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
nice segue into content creation and kind of
Mm-hmm.
getting your face out there and doing
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Because I am 100% convinced that there are many, many people who are better at editing, explaining stuff, teaching in general than I am. But I think nowadays, in the modern world that we live in, a lot of people have ideas but don't actually act on these ideas and follow
Mm-hmm.
through with these ideas. So that's what
Yeah.
makes people stand out, really, because they're willing to take action because
Mm-hmm.
action, I think, is much more powerful because then you learn from your mistakes. And the same
Mm-hmm.
applies to language learning as well. If you're always
Absolutely.
thinking about improving a language or studying a language, but you don't actually do anything about it,
Yeah.
then you're not really going to make any progress. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, in your
Makes
case,
perfect sense.
when did you make the actual decision to say, okay, I'm going to put my face out there and I'm going to start
Mm-hmm.
posting content?
I thought you'd get onto this question. I, funnily enough, I've always had a dream since I was a bit younger that I wanted to do something like this, be on videos, but I never had, I suppose, the courage to jump into it. And yeah, being back in the UK, it's one of those things that you're surrounded by a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot of people who might, take, I won't say take the mick out of you. They might tease you for doing something like social media. So I suppose, I just never saw it as something that I would do, but perhaps something that Baby J always wanted to do. And thankfully, I met my girlfriend, um, Chang, who, if you're watching this, um, she she pushed me. Yeah, she pushed me into it, and she encouraged me to do it. So it began with TikTok, which to me it was kind of strange because prior to that, I had spent maybe 6 years completely off social media. I deleted my Instagram, uh, didn't use any of it, um, personally, because that was my incubation time. That was the time that I was working on myself and like, focusing on creation instead of consumption. And I believe both are valuable, but yeah. Anyway, I've diverted.
No, no.
Um, she encouraged me to do it, so I jumped in with TikTok, started making short form videos. Had no idea what I was doing, but I just kept doing it and just made a video every day. As I think a lot of people like yourself, content creators, initially you have no idea with anything, so you have to observe, see what other people are doing within your niche, and then everyone's just copying off everyone. Um, so you kind of have to pinch ideas and learn from them, learn the process. You got to learn filming, editing. Now it's script writing as well. There's a lot to learn with it. So I started. Yeah, I did. For 1 month, I started my English by Jay on TikTok. Completely failed. Got, I don't know. I mean, it was under 200 views every video, but I posted one a day for a month. I then diverted and I went to, because I'm big into drawing, I like writing, poetry. I enjoy music. It's a big passion of mine. So I kind of wanted to like show that side of myself. Anyway, that completely flopped as well. Did that for a month. Tried to show my artistic talents or whatever. Didn't work. I went back to the English by Jay, and then I think I did one video, and it was akin to your videos, similar to your videos, where we essentially just show the world around us. This is a post-it note, that kind of thing. And the first video was me in Vietnam putting on a helmet, taking it off, fastening the strap, unfastening it, and putting it down. Simple phrasal verbs. And yeah, that one rocketed overnight. So took off, yeah, blasted into the stratosphere. And that was it really. I kept on going with that now. After you get that little bit of success with it, you have a direction then, and you have a little bit of a formula. But the only way I could have learned that is by the failing. It's cliche. Everyone says, I failed 1,000 times before I succeeded, but it is true. You have to just do something and be willing to be bad, be willing to be wrong, to eventually get to a level where you can make a living from it, which is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious about these 6 years. So you said you were 6 years without like having TikTok or Instagram or anything. Personally, I never ever use TikTok apart from to post my videos. I don't get it. Maybe I'm too old. I'm not sure, but I just
I'm the
don't
same, Lewis.
of like scrolling and scrolling. Whereas with
Yeah.
Instagram, I do kind of understand it, but that's because I've always used it. Nowadays,
Yes.
they're kind of becoming more and more similar anyway. So like
Yeah.
the algorithm works in very similar ways. But you didn't have social media for 6 years. How come? Was it
Yes.
stressful or what?
Yeah, I suppose. I think I was like 15 or 16. And yeah, at that time, Instagram was on the rise, like our generation. We were only 2 years apart. Um, it made me really anxious, personally. I consumed too much, and subconsciously, I compared myself to other people. And, like big buff men, people with the perfect lives, or the perfect lives. And yeah, it didn't make me feel very good about myself for the fact I was consuming so much. So I kind of questioned that, like, why am I feeling bad? I did a bit of digging, a bit of analysis, and realized that being on my phone a lot, being in this kind of like narrow-minded focus and comparing myself just didn't make me feel good. It made me anxious. So it took a bit of time, but I deleted it all. I started with Instagram and then kept Facebook Messenger just so I could communicate with people. And yeah, I suppose YouTube, that was one thing that I've always enjoyed personally. I think, again, more our generation, like longer form content, it's educational. It's, yeah, a bit less mind scrambling. I find that TikTok, again, I don't consume it like you, but it's so fast and it's so like, it essentially just trains our brain to lose focus, right? You just one thing and then the next. Whereas the superpower is sustained focus. So I shifted my I tried to make myself feel better essentially because the anxiety it didn't feel good. So I started meditating, started doing stuff for me, started reading books, I started writing. That really healed me, and yeah, just kind of like trusting myself, I suppose. And I think that's, as I say, it's been all that time behind the scenes that now I've started a social media. I'm, mentally, physically well, that I feel like I feel blessed and I feel happy to be doing what I'm doing now, like creating. Yeah.
No, it's interesting, and it's thank you for sharing it as well because it's obviously showing a vulnerable side about yourself and admitting to feeling anxiety, and that's important to speak about these things. And I think it's hard
Absolutely.
to really diagnose and self-diagnose how you feel about this. Like there are times when maybe I'm hungover on a Saturday and I'm watching football, and I've just got my phone in my hand all the time, and I don't really realize until you kind of tell yourself like, wait, oh no, like I haven't put my phone down in like half an hour or an hour. Maybe it's the moment to do so. So I think that's a message to everybody to maybe be conscious about how much time you are spending on your phone. Of course, it's difficult difficult to not spend time on your phone because it's a
Course.
supercomputer
Mhm.
that does everything. And if you're
Mhm.
bored, it's very easy to get some stimulus from your phone.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, well, yeah, I'm just swiping away, passing some
Mhm.
time. I haven't got anything else to do, so what's the harm? And you could say
Mhm.
that there isn't harm, but it depends on the type of content that you follow and use, because there's a big
Absolutely.
difference between educational content and
Mhm.
maybe just random entertainment that can
Mhm.
make you, without realizing, compare yourself with others, which can then lead to a vicious cycle where you don't feel
Mhm.
happy or satisfied with your own life. Who knows?
Mhm.
I'm not a
Yeah,
therapist.
yeah. You're absolutely right. You can be my therapist if you want. The idea about being conscious, like it's not the social media that's bad. It's our own awareness of how we use it. We should try to. I'm not saying everyone go caveman mode and throw your phone in the river, but be aware how much you're using it. And I've always been a big fan of trying to install like small habits, like read for 1 minute a day or read one word a day, and try do things that will lead to other good things. So it can be one personally I'm trying to work on right now is just going to bed earlier. I've always been a night owl, always stayed up late, and I enjoy it. I'm doing whatever, listening to music, writing, but I also know that if I go to bed early, I wake up early with the sunrise, and like you being up early in the Brussels this morning, you feel productive and you feel like energetic and kind of it feels natural.
Like, and you
Yeah.
feel
So
much better about the end of the day as well, I think. Like, if you wake up
exactly.
early and you've done stuff in the morning, then you're
Hmm.
tiring yourself out in a positive way. So then when you get to
Yeah.
the end of the day, you can look back on it and think like,
Hmm.
ah, look at all of these things that I've done. Pretty
Hmm.
productive day. Give
Nice.
myself a pat
Yeah.
on the back and like, go me.
Hmm. Do you
But
reflect on your day then? Is that something you do?
a little bit. I don't know
Hmm.
if I actively reflect on my day,
Hmm.
partly because I do kind of overload myself with, I put a lot on my plate and try to be as productive as possible.
Hmm.
Today, for example, I have many, many classes and a couple of these interviews as well, back to
A
back.
couple. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting two done at the same time.
Smashing it. Wow. Nice.
But then I have other days where I'm much more chilled. And I wouldn't
Hmm.
say that I really look back on my day and analyze it, but I do
Hmm.
do it on like a Friday because
Hmm.
on Friday,
Interesting.
that's when I don't teach any more classes. If I have to do any editing or recording, it's minor stuff or little shorts.
Hmm.
So I try
Hmm.
to be as productive as possible for 5 days of the week because,
Hmm.
as I mentioned to some of my students, my weekends are sacred, that I don't want any meetings or classes at the weekend.
Hmm.
I don't mind doing a
Nice.
little bit of prep or editing. That's fine
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
I can use some dead times, maybe when my girlfriend's getting ready, or maybe when
Hmm.
I'm on the toilet to do a little bit of editing. But the
Hmm.
actual productive, useful, intense work, it needs to be from Monday to Friday. So then on Friday, when I go
Yes.
for my walks, instead of maybe
Hmm.
meditating, my way of, I don't know, being a balanced human being is going for a walk, listening to
Hmm.
podcasts, getting
Nice.
outside. And that's
Hmm.
the moment when I'm like thinking and brainstorming and
Hmm.
also thinking about what I've done, what I could have done
Hmm.
better, what maybe I exceeded in expectations. So it's
Hmm.
a nice way of being, let's say, proactive about how
Yes.
you feel and what you do.
Hmm. Wonderful. I love that. The idea of walking and to like clear your head, but then also you're clearing out the thoughts and perhaps the week behind, and also creating space for new thought, new ideas, new thinking, and being in nature as well is something that like we're talking about anxiety earlier. If anyone's feeling any discomfort or uncomfortable feelings, what healed me and what was the wonderful thing, and I'm sure yourself as well, just spend time in nature every day in some way, whether it's going for a walk, something very simple like that, and it really is just like an easy way to feel better.
Exactly. Now, we can return to content creation and how you transitioned
Hmm.
into YouTube properly, but let's speak more about
Hmm.
Vietnam now because I've never been. but I have
Hmm.
been to Thailand, and I've been to
Mm.
Indonesia, and I've been to Malaysia, but I haven't been to Vietnam yet. Hopefully soon.
Hmm.
But
Nice. You're welcome.
yeah, you said you wanted to go to Vietnam specifically. What was it about Vietnam compared to Thailand or South Korea or Indonesia that really grabbed your attention?
Hmm. Good question. I can tell you're a teacher. You're, I suppose for me, it was the unspoilt nature of Vietnam. I knew Thailand had many expats, many people from all over the world, and yeah, I've always liked being a bit different. I've always liked places that are a little bit different, that undiscovered perhaps. So after doing some research, there was a few places I had in mind. Um, I had Korea and China too, as well as Thailand and Vietnam, and I was sort of making decisions, doing research. I knew that I really value my free time. I value just like time to do, as I say, my many passions and hobbies. So it worked out that I could come to Vietnam and work 12 hours a week as a minimum, as a part time, to gain my residence card, which means that I can live here with no bother from the police. And I could have a 2 year residence card for that. So that 12-hour work week plus the beach as well, which is, I have the beach where I live, that and the mountain. Um, all those things, yeah, made it seem like an easy choice.
I- And was it difficult to adjust to such a different culture?
Mm,
Because it's not the same as moving to France or Spain, of course.
yeah, yeah. It was in a way. I was very welcomed, in fact, from the minute I stepped off of the airport. The lady at the company that I work for, she met me and took me to a hotel. She took me for some pho, which is the noodle broth, essentially. And I was a vegetarian, and she had no concept of that or didn't understand me. So there's some beef in it. And I asked if it's vegetarian. She just laughed at me. Um, we sat. They bring you these little teas there, so it's very common. This like herbal tea, and it's kind of the color of what's the color of beer. This golden amber color. I saw it there on the table in midday, 40-degree heat, and I thought, "Ooh, a beer." Picked it up and realized it was tea. But yeah,
What a
in
downer.
terms of um, I would say the people are lovely, so I've genuinely felt really warmly welcomed. My I was able to integrate with the people around in my work as well, make friends. I've done this before when I was 19 in France, and that honestly that was harder because I was a bit weak at the language. I was younger. I was, I suppose, a bit more scared. This time, the main thing I just believed that it would work out, and it did. Yeah.
And would you say you needed to learn Vietnamese in order to make this transition easier?
Well, I've tried. I've tried many times, but it's a very difficult language, and no, I wouldn't say that I need to learn it. The funny thing is I will always order my coffee in Vietnamese. I will try to speak Vietnamese with the very limited I have, but then it's always met with them speaking English. So I sort of speak this Vietnam English, this combo. And yeah, I have a Vietnamese girlfriend, as I say, Chang, but she really likes English. Again, they all English is, as you know, right? Everyone wants to learn it. It's a sought after language, and like we don't have any Vietnamese conversations really. Only when I actively push it. So the hardest part is the tones. There are tones in Vietnamese. Oh, we lost connection there. Back.
All good, don't worry.
Nice one. Yeah, there's tones. So there's a tone up, down. There's a
Mhm.
ba, which is like a high, consistent tone. There's one tang huyen, like tang sec. Yeah, there's 5 or 6 different tones.
Mhm.
And what's difficult about, because English is a stressed based language, meaning that we intonate or we place emphasis on certain words. and certain syllables, certain sounds, and that's how we make sense. But in Vietnamese, you make sense by the tone that you hit. So if you don't hit every tone correctly, they don't understand you.
It
It's
sounds
mad.
horrible. As
Yeah,
in
it's not
horrible
nice.
to learn. Not
Yeah,
horrible to
yeah,
listen to or anything like that,
yeah,
but like for
yeah.
a
But
language learner, it's crazy.
it is. Yeah, absolutely. It's so foreign to us. I was going to say, what's your experience with speaking Spanish? Because for me, Spanish was like so much easier than Vietnamese is.
I mean, Spanish is the only language that I can say that I speak fluently apart
Mm-hmm.
from English, and that's in part because of my girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
because
Oh,
she's
nice.
Spanish, and we've been together now. Well, I say my girlfriend, but she's my fiance, and
Mm-hmm.
it always just
Congrats.
comes naturally to say fiance, to say
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend, sorry, because we've been dating for like 10 years, and it's always been my girlfriend, and now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh no, she's my fiance. We're getting married.
Wow.
But like a lot of this is because of her, because unlike Chang, for example, she does
Mm-hmm.
love English culture and English language, but her English has always been really good and she's not that bothered about practicing it with me. And
Mm-hmm.
because when we met, I was already studying Spanish and Italian and Portuguese,
Nice.
I kind of pushed to speak in Spanish with her at the beginning of the relationship, and as a
Mm-hmm.
result, that's kind of stuck. So now we still speak more in Spanish than we do in English. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a bit of both, of course, but it's probably more Spanish than English. And Spanish in general, like you have so much content that you can consume in Spanish to make it easier
Mm-hmm.
to immerse yourself. There are some
Yes.
similarities between Spanish and English. And
Mm-hmm.
in fact, when I moved to Brussels and I wanted to get good ish at French, when I was making up words and not sure what I wanted to say, I'd say basically the Spanish word or phrase and then make it sound more French. And more often than not, it would work. And I'd
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, wow, uh,
Yeah,
perfect.
absolutely.
A miracle.
Avion, avion.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah. There's
like,
so many.
I always say the phrase like, I make up words. So in
Mm.
Spanish, like, invento las palabras. And then I was like, j'invente les mots. And I have
J'invente les
no
mots. Ouais,
idea if it was correct or not. And then
c'est
my
parfait.
friend was like, yeah, très bien. Genial, no?
Has
So no,
dicho las palabras.
las
Tu
palabras.
novia, tu novia es del sur de España,
Exactly. So,
Andalucía.
translation for everyone. My girlfriend, fiance, she's from the south of Spain. She's from
Mm.
Seville. So,
Okay,
has an Andaluz accent,
sí.
and that's kind of rubbed off on me. And it meant that I speak a little bit like someone from Andalusia without having a very, very thick accent
Mm-hmm.
because I kind of speak quite neutrally in English, and the same thing
Mm-hmm.
happens in Spanish as well. But there are some
Yeah.
words and phrases where you can tell that how I learned Spanish is much more from the south of Spain than it is from the north of Spain. So,
Mm-hmm.
how about you? When you were in Spain, whereabouts were you?
I was in, thankfully, because Andalus is hard to understand for anyone that doesn't know Spanish. Um, I was in Salamanca, so they speak Castellano puro, pure Spanish, as they say. But yeah, sorry to Fiance if she gets offended by that. Um,
No,
yeah, it was very good for me
hate that,
learning.
Jay.
Yeah, what a bastard. Am I allowed to swear in this?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, beat me out. Yeah, so thankfully, yeah, I had this kind of pure Spanish, the most, I would say, regular, like your accent and my accent. They're quite easy to understand, quite neutral. So, and that plus the fact that it wasn't a very touristy town, so locals would always, I had to speak Spanish. I woke up every day having to speak Spanish, having to think about words that I'd learned yesterday. And yeah, it's really, that just snowballs that effect. I would say for anyone watching this and wanting to improve their English, the closest you can get to that without living in the country is just consuming as much as you can and then also producing as much as you can. So, practicing listening to podcasts, listening to Lewis's channel, watching my videos. Also, loads of other English teachers, reading books, noting down new vocabulary. There's doing mind maps. There's a million and one ways that you can. Sorry, my someone's ringing.
All good, all good.
Um, yeah, there's so many ways that you can improve your English. If you can find something that you enjoy, if you like learning and you're curious about it, and just do it every single day, and you'll get better.
Like I often give the example of what I do is listening to football podcasts. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, as I mentioned, I'm trying to get into finance. So I've been listening to financial investment, self-development podcasts in Spanish as well. And
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of just to maintain my Spanish because it's
Yeah.
true that if you don't practice it that often, then it will get a little bit rusty. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
like you can complete English and then you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to constantly continue practicing it. It has to be
Yes.
a part of your routine and a part of your life, or you will suffer the consequences a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
you'll feel less confident, you'll speak less fluently. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, the important thing is to use what passions and interests you already have and then do them in your target language, in this case, English. So, in your case,
Absolutely.
if you love poetry and music and all of these things, then you can try maybe to write some poems in your target language. You can listen to
Mm-hmm.
music in your target language. You can sing in your target language. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Completely true. It's the best way, really. Yeah.
And
Enjoy it.
just because it's fresh in my memory, I went to a festival at the weekend. It was a
Mm-hmm.
festival in Belgium called Rockwerche, which is kind of like Leeds Fest, more or
Okay.
less,
Right.
because it's based on rock, but really it's rock, indie, a little bit of pop as well. There are
Mm-hmm.
like 4 different stages. It's a big festival without being absolutely enormous, like Glastonbury, for example. And
Mm-hmm.
it was really good. I had a great time, but music isn't really my forte. It's not really
Mm-hmm.
my area of expertise. But in your case, what kind of music are you into, and do you play any musical instruments?
Uh-huh. Um, I hope you enjoyed the festival.
It was
Um,
good. It was good.
yeah, yeah, nice. I was gonna say there's when you said Leeds Fest, that brought back memories.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I love music. I've grown up with it since a wee boy, a little boy. My parents used to play soul music a lot, northern soul music actually. Um, and yeah, now as an adult, I hip hop music is my favorite type of music, and kind of like I've always been obsessed with words. I really like words, which is why I love my job. Um, and hip hop music was always the idea of like, what can you say? You know, how deep are your lyrics? Are you using metaphors, similes, alliteration, all the different literary devices over a beat as well? So they're essentially just like storytelling, creating poetry, rhythm over a beat. So that was my main inspiration, and that's how I started writing as well. Because I loved people like MF Doom and Jay Z, Notorious B.I.G., many like old school hip hop heads. And beyond that, I do love all kinds of music. I'm very into. It can be reggae. I could listen to jazz. I often listen to lo-fi when I'm working, um, because that just chills me. It's very calming. I'll listen to soul music, um, funk, yeah, a whole array, and rock
Everything
sometimes.
under the sun.
Everything. Yeah, basically. Yeah, as long as it's good. There is some music that to me is just noise. It might be stuff like death metal. It's just very loud and there's not much melody. I need melody and rhythm.
I mean,
Yeah.
with like metal music and stuff like that, it's like I can't tell what they're saying, first of all. And then
Yeah.
if you're actually there at a gig or a concert or a festival and you can just hear people screaming and shouting, I'm like,
Mm.
what's the point? Like, what are they
Uh,
saying? I have no idea.
uh-huh.
It's a proper like mum comment, but I'm like,
Yeah.
they're just screaming.
Uh,
Awesome. So anyway, we haven't got much time left, but
yeah.
I teased it earlier and
Mm.
didn't really ask you any further questions, but you started your content creation journey with TikTok and short
Mhm.
videos, but much more recently, you've been focusing on, I'd say, cinematic long form videos on YouTube.
Mhm.
Could you
Mhm.
tell us a bit about that transition and why you
Yeah.
decided to focus more on YouTube?
Uh-huh. Um, YouTube was something that I always dreamed of, as I say, having. For me, the short form was kind of like training wheels. I learned many things from doing a year or a year and a half on TikTok. And it came a point where I've been chatting with my girlfriend and I wanted to, I wanted to make longer videos. I wanted to show more of myself, which I feel like the short form game, as you know, you kind of have to be like, you have to raise your energy levels. You have to like, in the beginning, I didn't know what to do. So I was like, I'd shout at the camera or I would, just like move my body in a strange way. Um, whereas with the long form, I feel like I've got more space to just be me and also teach English with that. And I sort of found this formula recently, this format, which is kind of like it's a mix between a vlog, teaching English, and then the third element which I've added, which I'm very into films and filmmaking. So I've like added cinematic elements, trying to make my videos like mini movies, trying to make them visually pleasing, trying to edit with nice sound, nice music, create some kind of narrative, some story that acts as a kind of scaffolding for the video. And yeah, I find it really, honestly, just it's very satisfying. So I could never do Instagram like you. You've got a huge following, which congrats, by the way. Um, and yeah, I've always struggled with that. I couldn't, got about 60 followers on there. I sort of didn't give up on that. I just focused my attention on TikTok, as I say, to train me up to get to a level of like, okay, I know how to film now, I know how to script, I know how to edit. I've got the necessary skills. Now I'm ready to dip my toes in the deeper water. I'm ready to challenge myself more and YouTube you can monetize, as you know, so that's an incentive.
Like,
Yeah,
perfect. I
yeah,
think if anybody is wondering if they should start making videos or anything, YouTube has to be the priority always. Like,
absolutely, yeah,
because it's
yeah.
the only one. Little bit of
You got a little bit of confetti.
like YouTube has to be the priority, first of all, because I think people who watch YouTube videos are much more engaged and committed to the project or what you're doing. It's also
Hmm.
much harder for creators to create engaging, interesting content. So then it's a
Hmm.
nice challenge, and then you can
Yes.
reap the rewards because
Hmm.
it can be monetized on YouTube, which you can't really on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Maybe there are
Hmm.
slight possibilities, but
Hmm.
what you actually take home is completely different. And I think,
Yes.
like, as we mentioned before, YouTube, I will maybe specifically watch YouTube videos from certain creators or channels, and I'd be
Hmm.
excited about it. Whereas
Yeah.
with TikTok, Instagram, you might see it because of the algorithm, or you
Hmm.
might not, and you're probably not going to make the effort to go specifically on the profile and look up the
Yeah.
video. So,
Hmm. Yeah, we're old school. That's like, yeah, yeah. I'm with you on that. Like, I like to follow, as you say, you like a creator and you kind of follow their journey as well. And yeah, it's enjoyable, that longer form content. Um, Not for everyone, but yeah, for our generation.
right. So,
Yeah.
final question: is the plan to continue with the current style of videos, and
Mhm.
can it be tiring with the editing? Because this is my issue that I
Yeah.
don't have the patience maybe to edit as much as I would like to, and perhaps
Uh,
I will try to in the future. But for you,
yeah.
is it tiring to like spend hours and hours editing?
It's bloody knackering. Yeah. Um, but I enjoy it now. I found a place where I do enjoy it. There's I've gone away from like the traditional, because I started with YouTube, but like everything's very retention editing, trying to keep people's attention. So just quick cuts, like fast animations coming in and out of the screen. For me, that was a lot of work, and I tried it, but then I realized like I enjoy editing when I've made like my own sequence, like my own mini movie sequence, because I'm kind of piecing together this puzzle that used to live here and is now I've filmed it, I've scripted it, I've filmed it, and now it's, I'm seeing the finished product. So I enjoy that part of it. It's very satisfying. Um, I'm curious what you use. What do you use CapCut when you edit?
Yeah,
Yeah, me
so
too for now.
on Sundays, I try to make a slightly better, in my opinion, video.
Mhm,
But I do it with like absolutely nothing. I still use my phone. I edit
mhm.
on my phone as well,
Mm,
using CapCut,
okay.
and that's the more traditional YouTube video. And then, as I
Yeah.
mentioned before we started recording, I try to also have the podcast element of conversations on Wednesdays and my own
Mhm,
kind of me rambling on
uh-huh,
Fridays about the topic
uh-huh.
of the week that I've been teaching with
Cool.
my students. So
Hmm.
I only really have one video that I try to edit more or less well, and the other two,
Yes.
it's just all about the listening and all about this comprehensible input from either two
Yes.
people speaking or just
Hmm.
me going on about random topics.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Nice. So do you like batch everything? You seem like I've seen interviews with you before, and your videos. You've said like you tend to. Well, with me, you messaged me months ago saying like this will be posted in August, but I'm just getting ahead of schedule. So is your calendar jam packed, and is that part of your organization or your efforts to be more organized?
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest strength is that I'm hardworking and
Hmm.
organized, and I can get ahead.
Nice.
So then I'm able to schedule a lot of content in advance because I
Hmm.
think the only thing I can control is consistency.
Yeah.
So this month, in what recording this in July, I'm now going to be trying to get as much content done as possible because in August I'll still be working a little bit, but I'll be in Spain by the beach, so I'll be kind of
Hey,
part time.
lovely.
So I want to get as much done as possible in
Yeah.
July, so then
Hmm.
I can still be consistent in August
Mm.
without having to really make new content. So that's
Yeah.
the tricky thing, but I
Hmm.
seem to succeed.
Yeah. Well, keep going on that. That's great. That's great that you can get ahead with that. I was sort of scrambling around when I was back in the UK this time, trying to film. I filmed like a London vlog, and then I filmed like a British countryside and home vocabulary video, and then edited both those. And it was like mammoth, like 2 day filming, 12-hour block, another 10-hour block the next day, and I couldn't edit anything at the time as well, so I had to plan very carefully. Um, but yeah, mine tends to be just like ideation, creation, and then move on sort of one at a time. So it's interesting that you pre-plan and you kind of you batch film, you get ahead.
Wait, I try when
Yeah,
possible. But no,
yeah.
whatever you're doing, it's working really well. And if anybody hasn't checked out your videos, then please go for it. Because as I said, it is a little bit like a film at the beginning, and then you go through it. So it's very,
Hmm.
no, it's very pleasant to the eye and to the
Hmm.
viewer. So give
Thank you.
yourself a pat on the back. And on that note, we're gonna have to wrap it up because I've got another meeting in a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm
It's
chatting
been
away.
it's been an absolute pleasure. Maybe we can organize another one in the near future. And
Yeah, absolutely,
when
man.
we're
Thank
both
you for
back
having
in
me.
Yorkshire, maybe we can record some videos together. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. I would love that. Absolutely. I was thinking you were in Leeds actually, but then I remember watching recently. You said you were in Brussels, which I feel like I've got more questions for you, but I've just been rambling on today because
Round
I
two,
I don't often.
maybe.
Yeah, round two. Let's do it. I'm
Let's
game,
do it.
which
Awesome.
means I want to.
I'm game.
Nice.
Game.
I'm
So
game for
thank
it.
you so
Yeah.
much, Jay. Thank you, everybody, for watching and tuning in. If you have any questions for
Thank
Jay
you.
that I haven't been able to ask him, let us know in the comments. And
Yeah, I'll be
yeah,
reading
we'll
them.
see you in the next video, and we'll see you for round two as well.
Yes. Yeah, ready for it. Thank you, Lewis. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you. And yeah,
Likewise.
I'll,
See you later,
I'll see you
everybody.
again, man.
Bye.
Hey, we got the second, the grammar goats.